Welcome back to the Deeper 2025 podcast. Our goal is to help you to go deeper in your reading in the Bible as you follow our reading plan. Today we come to Acts chapter 19. We just saw a couple of days ago in Acts 17, Paul was in Athens. He talks about this altar that's made to an unknown God. He uses that to share the gospel. Well, now in Acts 19, Paul has made his way to Ephesus. And Ephesus is the place that we see Paul's going to start a church there. He's going to write a letter to the Ephesians, the church in Ephesus. Later, we'll get to read that. And then later, Timothy, as Paul would write 1 Timothy and 2 Timothy, two different letters to the young pastor Timothy. Timothy is the pastor at Ephesus at the time that Paul is writing those letters to Timothy. So Ephesus is a very big place, very main place, I guess, as it comes to the New Testament and the work that Paul did. And as Paul goes to Ephesus and he shares the gospel in Acts 19, in verse 20, we find, in this way the word of the Lord spread and prevailed. People who were once following false beliefs turned to Christ. Their lives were transformed because of the ministry of Paul there in Ephesus. And it reminds us that true faith in Jesus leads to change. First thing I want us to see is faith is more than just words. Faith is more than just us uttering a special prayer or uttering that we believe in Jesus or that Jesus is Lord. That faith involves us doing something. It's not just us talking. You know, I heard growing up a lot of times your walk has to match your talk. So faith and having faith in Jesus is not just about talking about him. It's not even just about knowing Jesus and knowing about him. It's having a relationship with him. You know, sometimes in our culture, in the Bible Belt, if you're watching this and you're in the Bible Belt in the South, everybody seems to know about Jesus. Everybody seems to know who he was historically, but they don't necessarily have a relationship with him. Faith is more than just knowing about Jesus. It's having a relationship with him. So I would ask you, have you fully surrendered to Jesus? Have you started that relationship? He died on a cross, not to give you fire insurance from hell, but to give you a relationship with himself. But here's the other thing we see in Acts 19. It's God's power is greater than everything else. I would ask you, are you relying on God's power in your life? You know, sometimes we come up against very difficult circumstances. And it seems like it's a mountain in the way that it seems like Mount Everest is in our way and we'll never make it to the summit of Mount Everest to get over that mountain or get through that mountain, to get through that difficult situation. Are you tapping into the power of God to walk with you through those times? God's power is greater than anything that you'll ever experience. In fact, God's power is not just about religious activity. Sometimes we get caught up in religious activity. God says, no. Religion is good if it's paired with a relationship with Jesus, but religion is not what's going to get you through. It's God's power that's going to walk with you and get you through those things. True faith leads to transformation, and that transformation comes from the power of God. But here's the last thing I want us to see. It's something that all of us need to remember, all of us need to be aware of, that true repentance leads to action. Let me say that again. True repentance leads to action. We see in this story that as people in Ephesus were turning to Jesus and they were being transformed by the gospel, they started burning their books, their magic books, their books full of spells. They started burning them, and they were showing that they are really committed to Christ. Their actions matched up with what their words were saying. True repentance in their life led to action, and true repentance in our life will lead to action. True faith and true repentance is not just an inward thing, it's a visible thing on the outside. Now, don't get me wrong. There is a thing in today's world called behavior modification, and it's where we try to change our outward action and hoping that it'll change the inside of us. But really, true repentance and coming to Jesus and life transformation with the gospel and the power of the gospel happens from the inside out. It doesn't happen from the outside in. But there will be action whenever we turn to Jesus and we turn away from our sin. I can remember when I was in youth group back in the late 90s, we would have, usually after camp, we would have CD burning days. Do you remember those? Is it just me? Is it just my church? Like, we would have CD burning parties where you would bring all your worldly CDs. Now, I've actually have some worldly quote unquote CDs that I have. Nobody has CDs, but I listen to quote unquote worldly music. I think that goes a little far sometimes into religious activity, outward behavior modification. Maybe sometimes that's needed, but we see here in Ephesus, they had a true transformation of the gospel. They start burning these books, and they're showing that they're committed to Christ. So are there things in your life that you need to surrender or remove to fully follow Jesus? See, that's the question. It's not about having burning parties. It's not about burning your books or burning your CDs or burning out. I don't know how you would burn CDs because we don't have CDs anymore. We have streaming services. But what is it in your life, or are there things in your life that you need to surrender or remove to fully follow Jesus? Are there activities? Are there things? Are there hang-ups? Are there vices that you need to remove because they're hindering you from truly following Jesus? True repentance leads to action. It doesn't just involve words, it involves action. And so today, I really want you to evaluate, are there things in my life that I need to remove so that I can truly follow Jesus? Listen, truly following Jesus will be the key to you having the abundant life that Jesus talks about in John chapter 10. And so I want you to have that abundant life. I want you to live fully in freedom, fully guilt-free and shame-free. And sometimes we just got to remove things. So what is it in your life that you need to surrender or you need to remove to fully follow Jesus?